Good afternoon, students. I'm Dr. Ramya, Pharmacology PG. Today, we'll be learning about immunosuppressants and immunostimulants. About this, let's learn what are immunosuppressants and immunostimulant drugs. What are immunosuppressant drugs? Basically, there are two types of immunity, the natural or innate type of immunity and acquired type of immunity. The important effectors for natural immunity are like granulocytes, monocytes, macrophages, natural killer cells, mast cells, and basophils. As you all might be knowing, there are two different type of lymphocytes. They are T cells and B cells. They have different purposes for major effects of acquired immunity. Okay. B lymphocytes, they produce antibodies, while T lymphocytes, they are differentiated into T helper cells or cytolytic or suppressor cells. These B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, what they do, they mediate normal immune response, that is normal immune response to infections like tumors or any infections. They produce immune response towards that. What T cells and B cells, they produce immune response. Okay, there is disadvantages also. What are the disadvantages? They decrease the immediate autoimmunity and they also produce rejection of transplant. Any organ transplant or any kind of transplant, graft rejections, in that kind of cases, they decrease the autoimmunity. Okay, immunosuppressants, these are the drugs. What they do, they reduce the natural immunity of the host, and these are the agents which are useful for two purposes. What are the two purposes? They are for the treatment of immunity, autoimmune diseases, and also for the organ transplant rejections. In such cases, these drugs are very useful immunosuppressant drugs. Now, coming to classification of immunosuppressant drugs. We'll have calcineurin inhibitors. They are cyclosporin and tacrolimus. mTOR inhibitors like sirolimus, glucocorticoids, prednisolone, betamethasone, dexamethasone. These are glucocorticoids. And we also have anti-proliferative or anti-metabolite. These are cytotoxic to the cell. Examples for anti-proliferative are cyclophosphamide, azathioprine, mycophenolate, meflotil, methotrexate. All these are anti-metabolite. Okay. Other than that, we have antibodies or serum like anti-lymphocyte globulin or antibodies, that is ALG, anti-thymocyte globulin or antibodies, ATG, and also anti-D, that is immune globulin, anti-D immunoglobulin. Okay. Other than that, we also have monoclonal antibodies. You might be hearing about monoclonal antibodies. Example for that is Muronomab. Okay. Coming to calcineurin inhibitors. For this, we'll learn about cyclosporin. What does cyclosporin do? First, it binds to immunophilin cyclophilin. Cyclophilin, it is a kind of immunophilin. It first binds to this cyclosporin, it binds to cyclophilin, and after binding to cyclophilin, it forms a complex. What complex? That is cyclosporin binding to cyclophilin, it forms a complex. Then this complex, it interacts with this calcineurin. Then it blocks its activity with phosphatase activity. Then it causes immunosuppressant effect. Ultimately, what they do, they inhibit the gene transcription of interleukin 2 and interleukin 3. Sorry, that is IL-3 and interferon Y also. And other factors also, they produce antigen stimulated T cells. Okay, first they form into a complex. Cyclosporin and cyclophilin, they form a complex. Then they interact and block phosphatase activity, causing immunosuppressant effect. Okay. Then these cyclosporin, it is completely metabolized in the liver with the help of CYP3A4 enzyme. So as it is metabolized in the liver, in patients with hepatic dysfunction, those should be reduced because it cannot be metabolized. Then cyclosporin, it is highly effective and it is less toxic immunosuppressant as compared to other drugs. Coming to uses of cyclosporin, when it is used, it can be used alone and also in combination with other drugs for various organ transplantation. As I have already told, these calcineurin or immunosuppressant drugs, they can be used for organ transplantations because it can prevent rejections of organ transplant. So they are used in such cases, including of kidney, liver, heart, and other organ transplantations. Then its use also causes early engraftment and it extends the renal graft survival also. Okay, in graft versus host diseases also it can be used. Then again it can be used in cell or bone marrow transplantation also. It is highly effective for autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and other conditions like inflammatory bowel diseases, nephrotic syndrome, and atopic dermatitis. In these cases, it is used as a second line drug. Okay. Then coming to adverse effects of cyclosporin. What are they? Generally, as I've told, nephrotoxicity, because it is metabolized in the liver by CYP3A4. So dose limiting should be done in such cases. It might cause nephrotoxicity, and also in some cases it causes hypertension. The other effects like neurotoxicity. In neurotoxicity, you might observe symptoms like tremors, seizures, or headache. They might cyclosporin may also cause hyperglycemia, hyperkalemia, hyperlipidemia, tremors, hirsutism, and also gum hypertrophy. This gum hypertrophy, it can be reduced by controlling the good oral hygiene. Coming to drug interaction of cyclosporin. So other drugs which also get metabolized by CYP3A4. As I've told, cyclosporin, it is metabolized in the liver by CYP3A4. So there are other drugs also like ketoconazole or erythromycin. They also get metabolized by CYP3A4. In such cases, what does this do? When you give cyclosporin, ketoconazole and erythromycin, they get metabolized, they use up this CYP3A4. So cyclosporin cannot get metabolized. So there is increased concentration of cyclosporin. So the concentration of cyclosporin is decreased with CYP3A4 inducers. Such inducers are rifampicin, phenobarbital, and phenytoin. Okay. As I've told, nephrotoxicity is an adverse effect. So nephrotoxicity is enhanced by other nephrotoxic drugs like aminoglycosides, amphotericin B, and vancomycin, and NSAIDs also. All these drugs, they are also nephrotoxic. They also get metabolized in they get excreted through kidney. Okay. Cyclosporin increases the concentration of methotrexate and it reduces the clearance of prednisolone, digoxin, and also statins. Then again, cyclosporin causes hyperkalemia when used with potassium sparing diuretics. So when you see adverse effects and drug interactions, you can correlate all of them. Okay. Coming to tacrolimus. It is also a calcineurin inhibitor. This binds with a specific protein, which is FKBP12, that is immunophilin FK binding protein. And the subsequent effect, that is inhibition of this effect, is seen is similar to that of cyclosporine, that is forming a complex and then inhibition. Okay, it is more potent than cyclosporine with similar uses. And also it can be used as a rescue therapy in cases having episodes of graft rejection in spite of sufficient doses of cyclosporine. So instead of cyclosporine, as tacrolimus is more potent, you can use tacrolimus also. Its toxicity is also similar to cyclosporine, but gum hypertrophy is less when compared to that of cyclosporine. Calcineurin inhibitors like cyclosporine and tacrolimus, they selectively inhibit the cell-mediated immunity only, but not humoral immunity, which remains maintained. So, general body defense mechanism against infections is not affected because humoral immunity is maintained. Okay, it is just sufficient to fight against the infections. So, this is the advantages of these drugs compared to the other drugs. Coming to mTOR inhibitors. In this, we have sirolimus, which is also called as rapamycin. So here, what does sirolimus do? It inhibits the activation of T lymphocytes. And then it reduces the number of interleukin-2 and other T cell growth factor receptors. Okay, this sirolimus, it can be used for prophylaxis. That is, you know what prophylaxis is. So before organ transplantation rejection, it can be used in combination with glucocorticoid and calcineurin inhibitors or mycophenolate mofetil in cases where nephrotoxicity is higher, as it is not nephrotoxic because sirolimus is not nephrotoxic. It can be used in places where there is high risk of nephrotoxicity. So graft versus host rejections in autoimmune diseases, in such cases also you can use sirolimus. And in dermatological conditions, uveitis with cyclosporine, and to inhibit local cell proliferation, blood vessel occlusions in patients where stents have been used. In such cases also you can use sirolimus. It does not produce gum hypertrophy. Coming to glucocorticoids. These glucocorticoids, they are used for immunosuppression, and due to steroids, organ transplantation was also successful. Okay, glucocorticoids, they have many actions, but what are the main actions it has? And that are anti-inflammatory, immunosuppressant action, and cytotoxic to lymphoid cells. So these are the main actions of the glucocorticoids. But due to their immunosuppressive action, they are used to prevent and treat organ transplant rejection. In this, glucocorticoids are also used in combination with other agents like cyclosporine. Okay, methylprednisolone, which is a glucocorticoid, it is used in high doses by IV route. Why this IV route? It is used to reverse the acute rejection of transplantation. So they are also used for graft versus host reaction in cases of bone marrow transplantation. They are used for autoimmune disorders such as rheumatoid arthritis, systemic lupus erythematosus, inflammatory bowel diseases, psoriasis, systemic dermatomyositis. All these uses are also for cyclosporine. So glucocorticoids, it can be used along with cyclosporine. Uses are same for glucocorticoids and cyclosporine. Coming to anti-proliferative and cytotoxic drugs. In this, we have cyclophosphamide. What is cyclophosphamide? It is a cytotoxic drug, and it is one of the most effective immunosuppressant agents. Why? Because it has an alkylating property. That is, it destroys the proliferating lymphoid cells, including some of the resting cells also it destroys. So it markedly inhibits the humoral immunity by acting on B cells. and it also affects cell-mediated immunity. So here it is acting on humoral immunity as well as cell-mediated immunity. That is on both B cells and T cells, but effect is less marked on T cells compared to B cells. So it is used as immunosuppressants in bone marrow transplantation in high doses, and it is used in low doses for autoimmune diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis, pemphigus, systemic lupus erythematosus, nephrotic syndrome, and Wegener's granulomatosis. Because it has less effect on T cells, it is used in low doses for autoimmune diseases and for also the humoral immunity. It also acts on B cells, so it can be used for bone marrow transplantation also. Okay. However, it is not preferred in high doses because it has high toxicity and other better agents are also available. It may cause hemorrhagic cystitis due to nephrotoxic metabolite acrolein. So it has a metabolite called acrolein. Mesna, it is a drug. It can be used to prevent hemorrhagic cystitis as it is conjugated with acrolein and it is excreted in urine. So Mesna, it is a drug. When you give the drug, it gets combined, that is, it gets combined with acrolein, which is a metabolite of cyclophosphamide, and along with acrolein, it gets excreted in the urine. So you can prevent hemorrhagic cystitis. Coming to azathioprine. This is a prodrug. This prodrug, it inhibits the purine synthesis after conversion of 6-mercaptopurine. Okay. This drug, it is highly effective to suppress cell-mediated immunity. Then it possibly inhibits the differentiation and function of T cells and natural killer cells also. It has anti-inflammatory action. It is used in renal and other organ transplantation also, for maintaining remission in cases of vasculitis and for rheumatoid arthritis also. It is also used as steroid sparing in many autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, it should not be combined with methotrexate. Coming to mycophenolate mofetil. This is a semi-synthetic derivative of mycophenolic acid. This mycophenolic acid, it is obtained from Penicillium glaucum. Okay, this is also a prodrug and it has increased bioavailability and it gets rapidly converted into active immunosuppressive metabolite, that is mycophenolic acid, MPA. This mycophenolic active, it selectively inhibits an enzyme that is inosine monophosphate dehydrogenase enzyme. Inosine monophosphate dehydrogenase enzyme, and this inhibition, it is non-competitive and reversible. So it is not a it is reversible, so it is not very difficult to stop this conversion. Okay, so B and T lymphocytes are highly dependent on this enzyme. Which enzyme? Inosine monophosphate dehydrogenase. So B and T lymphocytes are highly dependent on this enzyme for synthesis of guanine nucleotide. So this MPA, that is mycophenolic acid, it inhibits the proliferation of lymphocytes and the subsequent functions such as formation of antibodies, cellular adhesions and migration. So this inhibits all these functions. So where is this used? It is used for solid organ transplantations, particularly for rejections, where refractory to other agents as an alternative to cyclosporin or tacrolimus for patients who cannot tolerate these drugs. Okay. It can also be used along with glucocorticoids and sirolimus without causing nephrotoxicity. They are used in treating graft versus host diseases in hematopoietic stem cell transplant and refractory to steroids. The other uses are lupus nephritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and dermatological disorders, including psoriasis. Coming to thalidomide. Thalidomide, it is also immunosuppressant, which is due to reduction in circulating TNF, that is tissue necrotic factor A, and it is used for erythema nodosum, leprosum. It is a lepra reaction. It is an autoimmune disease. Example, severe and refractory cases of rheumatoid arthritis and for treatment of Crohn's disease. It may also be useful in other conditions such as for skin, manifestation of systemic lupus erythematosus, graft versus host diseases, myelodysplastic syndrome, and other uses including cancer. Okay. Coming to methotrexate. Methotrexate, it has anti-inflammatory as well as immunosuppressant action. So it significantly, what does this methotrexate do? It reduces the production of cytokines as well as cell-mediated immunity. Okay. It has multiple uses, but coming to immunosuppressant action, it can be used in cases like rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and also Crohn's diseases. It is also used in graft versus host disease in patients who show idiosyncratic reaction due to purine antagonist and cancer. Coming to disadvantages of immunosuppressants, what are the disadvantages? It causes increased susceptibility to infections because, as I've told in the first slide, that they reduce the immunity. So what patients are more susceptible to infections. Okay, because the immunity is reduced, they are more susceptible to infections. Wound healing is very delayed. Then increased risk of neoplasms, particularly lymphomas, that is cancers. Organ toxicities such as nephrotoxicity, others like hypertension, hyperglycemia, hyperkalemia, hyperlipidemia, all these are due to the drugs. Okay, so these are the disadvantages of immunosuppressant drugs. Coming to immunosuppressant antibodies. Anti-lymphocyte globulin, ALG, and anti-thymosin globulin. What are these? Both ALG and ATG, they are also used for organ as well as bone marrow transplantation. They're usually given in combination with monoclonal antibodies or cyclosporin for induction of immunosuppression. That is for this during starting of immunosuppression and for treatment of initial rejection, including steroid resistant rejection of transplant. RhD immune globulin or anti-D immune globulin. This is used to prevent erythroblastosis fetalis. When does this occur? When mother is Rh negative, such like if her blood group is O negative or A negative or B negative in such cases, and when baby is positive. Okay, in such cases, it results in erythroblastosis fetalis. So in such cases, you can give this antibody, that is Rh immune anti-D immune globulin, by preventing postpartum or post-abortion. So what does this do? Formation of antibodies in Rho negative mothers who have delivered or aborted Rho positive fetus. Okay. Coming to monoclonal antibodies. So monoclonal antibodies, that is MAB, when used for any conditions, they have low host toxicity and high specificity. Okay, the murine antibodies, these antibodies, what do? They are produced They are short acting and are induce human anti-mouse antibody immune response. And to overcome this problem, antibodies are chimerized or humanized. Okay, I'll tell you what they are. Chimerized antibodies, they respond to more than one antigen. If antibodies are chimerized, then the suffix used for the drug will be XIMAB, XIMAB, example rituximab. And if it is humanized, then the suffix will be Zumab, example alemtuzumab. Okay, for fully human antibodies suffix, it is used as Mumab, that is example adalimumab. Okay, thus chimerization or humanization, what does it do? It prolongs the T half and reduces the antigenicity, and also it effectively activates the human immune effector mechanism. These monoclonal antibodies, they activate the human immune effector mechanism. Okay, there are two types of monoclonal antibodies. They are the antibodies without further combination with drug or toxin or radioactive substances. They are called as naked or unarmed or unmodified monoclonal antibodies, while those which are joined with a drug or radioactive particle or cancer killing agent or any other substances are called conjugated or armed monoclonal antibodies. So unarmed or armed monoclonal antibodies. So with the drug or which are not combined are called unarmed, which are combined are called as armed. Okay, it is simple to remember. Coming to classification of monoclonal antibodies. So what are they? Which acting on interleukin receptors. IL-1, example anakinra. ILB, IL-1B, canakinumab. IL-2 receptor antagonists like basiliximab, daclizumab. Okay, it acts against CD25. Then interleukin-6 receptor antagonist like tocilizumab. Okay, coming to drugs acting on CD cells. On CD3, muromonab. On CD20, rituximab, ibrutumomab, tocilizumab. I have told, momab means which are completely humanized. On CD33, gemtuzumab. On CD52, alemtuzumab. Then TNF alpha acting on TNF A, infliximab, adalimumab. Then VEGF means vascular endothelial growth factor. Okay, bevacizumab, ranibizumab. Then EGFR, endothelial growth factor, cetuximab, LFA, efalizumab. Okay, coming to drugs acting on HER2 or NUE, trastuzumab. Then acting on platelet receptors, abciximab. Then F-glycoprotein on surface of RSV. RSV means respiratory syncytial virus. For this, we have palivizumab. Then immunoglobulin E. For this, we have omalizumab. Then alpha-4 integrin. We have natalizumab. So uses of monoclonal antibodies. In this, for organ transplantation, we use muromonab. Okay, for autoimmune and other disease, for other diseases like for rheumatoid arthritis, we use infliximab. For Crohn's disease, we use infliximab. For asthma, like omalizumab. As antiplatelet agent, for example, we have abciximab. For each autoimmune disease, if you just remember one drug, it is enough. Okay. For multiple sclerosis, we have natalizumab. For infection which is due to respiratory syncytial virus, palivizumab. Okay. For ARMD, we have bevacizumab. For psoriasis, efalizumab. For intraocular, that is in the eye inflammation, daclizumab. Then for cancers, colorectal cancer, we have cetuximab. For breast cancer, trastuzumab. Acute myeloid leukemia, gemtuzumab. Then for CLL, rituximab. Chronic lymphoid, okay, chronic lymphoid. For this, we have rituximab. Then for lymphoma, we also use rituximab. Okay, all these things, they might be very hard to remember. Pronunciation is only very hard to remember. So, but monoclonal antibodies are very important. Now they are even trying to treat COVID with monoclonal antibodies. Okay, thank you. So this is about immunosuppressants and immunostimulants.